There's a phrase you may or may not be familiar with on social media called milkshake duck, or milkshake ducking. If you're not, don't worry, it means you have an actual life and are therefore much happier. That's inspired by a sort of famous tweet, which unfortunately is a concept that exists, that originally referred to those moments when some cool new person, artist, creation, etc. that you just became a fan of turns out to be, let's say, problematic very soon after, but at this point tends to mean the sense that it hasn't happened yet, but is probably going to, i.e., she's funny, I hope she's not a milkshake duck, or I like this band's sound, but some of the lyrics, I feel like they're one or two albums away from milkshake ducking it, and it's gonna bum me out. Indie movie writer-director S. Craig Zahler, late of Bone Tomahawk, Brawl in Cell Block 99, and the screenplay for the reboot of Puppet Master, which sucked, is currently the #1 with a bullet milkshake duck of the Grindhouse movie circuit, an undeniably talented auteur filmmaker with all of the right premillennial film geek influences and genre bona fides who, at least when he's directing his own stuff, tends to hit the center mass nexus of near-pornographic ultraviolence, swaggering macho bravado, intelligently textured dialogue, and smart deliberative pacing that's catnip to a strong strain of cinephile. Basically, if you want to get crass about it, he makes Bill Lustig movies, but he directs them like they're Bill Wellman movies. But what's put an extra edge on his stuff are some film writers that he likes to traffic in subject matter, imagery, topics, and in some cases actors and collaborators that most present-day filmmakers tend to bend over backwards both in front of and behind the camera to clarify that they're not endorsing by depicting police violence, racism, extreme right-wing nationalism, demonization of minorities, brutal misogyny, etc., and not really doing that, i.e. the clarifying part. His Western, his prison movie, and his revisionist take on the Nazi black magic aspect of the Puppet Master franchise all dive headlong into the most, if you'll pardon the obnoxious, tiresome phrasing, politically incorrect button-pushing regions of their subject matter with a boldness that can be exhilarating but also disquieting. Like when a friend shows you some really messed up stuff from the web on their phone and you go, haha, yeah, that's pretty nasty. Why do you have that? Like, what could you possibly have been looking for to land on that? Those who've already decided that Zahler must be a not-so-closeted reactionary certainly won't be dissuaded by the presence of Mel Gibson and returning Brawl in Cell Block 99 star Vince Vaughn as the leads of Dragged Across Concrete. In any case, nor Zahler's provocative casting of the actors as a pair of grumpy, racist, misfit cops who decide to plan a heist while on a 6-week unpaid suspension for the excessive beating of a suspect, which they don't so much disagree was excessive as they do that it should be that big of a deal. Parallel running storylines follow Toby Kittles and Michael Jai White, refreshingly cast for his acting rather than his fighting skills for a change, as drivers hired as the wheelmen for said initial heist and the heavily armed masked psychopaths pulling off the job itself, while slow-burning subplots track Mel Gibson's MS-afflicted wife who worries that she's turning into a racist herself because she's worried about her daughter being bullied in their mostly black low-income neighborhood, and Vaughn's attempt to buy an engagement ring for his girlfriend, which is complicated for some of the same reasons. And it's a Zahler movie, so it runs about 3 hours long, and these threads take their sweet time playing out before colliding in a brutal, nihilistically violent payoff staged like an old-school western in a modern, gritty setting. Viewed largely as an attempt at self-elevation, a move away from the more straightforward genre thrills of his previous two films and into something more like a formal drama punctuated by moments of signature extreme violence and unnerving this-feels-too-real nastiness from the uniformly dark-natured characters and even more unnerving sense of sympathy for their darker instincts. Drag Across Concrete is a solid crime film that makes a nice showcase for Zahler's florid dialogue and penchant for leisurely long takes and jarring violence, but it also feels at times like a sense of limitation setting in. It's probably the least engaging of his films as a result, a reminder that even if expanding lurid exploitation-style cop movies to epic length is an interesting experiment, there's probably a reason that most of these get pared down to run as quick as possible. Also, for all the critical hand-wringing about whether or not Zahler is or isn't the first filmmaker with a reactionary and/or right-of-center socio-political skew in several decades between John Milius and now to actually make good movies, and unavoidably controversial co-presence of the equally repellent yet talented Mel Gibson, who, yes, is about as good here as he's been in anything, this is also the first time I felt like Zahler has kind of pulled his punches a bit in that regard. We are shown enough of the cops just being grouchy and beaten down by life to get where they're meant to be coming from. We see what's going on with Gibson's daughter, that she's mostly catching schoolyard bullying and not much else. The two wheelmen are extremely sympathetic and thoughtful, and the actual robbers might as well be Machine Gun Jason Voorhees and so forth, so for all the nastiness around him, it comes off sort of like a cop-out. If you're going to ask us to wallow in this there are no good guys, everyone's just some variation of bastard muck for 3 hours, fine, but let them be bastards. For a movie that was pitched as being the mainstream-ish breakout for the most dangerous filmmaker on the indie scene, it's kind of a letdown to see Zahler seeming to sand down his own edges and hand in something more like an extra-long, very talky, much more handsome-looking episode of Chicago PD. It's interesting, the payoff is very good, and it's nice to see actors that you don't normally see getting to do these kind of performances do this kind of movie, but in the end, it's really just okay. 5 out of 10.